Hello, I'm Philip Stoughton for Scoop Talk, and I'm here at Apex 2017 in San Diego. We're going to start this morning by talking specifically about Internet of Manufacturing and how to get started, the building blocks, the elements to get on the path to the smart factory. The three guests with me: Bjorn is from Kick, Francois from Cogiscan, and Jason from Celine Electronics. Jason, perhaps if I can start with you. You're the kind of user of this technology, and you've started this journey. How do you go about getting started? It just seems like such a big, cumbersome, scary project initially.
So for Celine, we kind of started accidentally. We got involved with Cogiscan for the traceability piece and learned how we could implement them to get information between our equipment. So it's finding a partner to start in one spot, and then you just jump in and go.
Yeah.
You can continue to develop those relationships. We're working with Kick on expanding them into our connected factory. We use them in a lot of different spots, but finding ways to integrate them into the holistic system comes as you learn the systems a lot more than you have them today.
Yeah.
So we've had RPI for a while, but how does that fit in so that our technicians can use that information to make Celine more effective is an ongoing growth process.
Yeah, but I guess initially you have to start with a willingness to do it, and maybe a team. Who decides how you go about this process within your organization?
So in Celine, it was our president, Mario Scaveras. He got us started. He really believes that the corporation needs to be working with the leaders of the industry and figuring out what's the next thing that we need to make us better at what we do, faster, better quality, and giving us traceability down to the reference test. It was our jumping in point. But I think each company, it's going to be different. Maybe it's the SPI technology, maybe it's the Kick technology, but finding that first piece and jumping in and then expanding it as you learn more about the system, I think is key.
Okay, coming to you, Francois, is that what you see from most of your customers? Are they coming with a specific issue to solve and then growing from that point?
Yeah, that's typically what we see, because people talk about Industry 4.0, they have a long-term vision, but in practice you have to focus your energies and your investments, where you have the bigger return for your investment. And typically it's a problem to solve, it's a customer requirement, something like that will drive the original project. So, but you need something that's very modular and scalable so that over time you can obviously expand that. But typically that's very common. I would say Celine maybe is a customer that's a bit ahead of the curve in the sense that they quickly caught on to all the other benefits they could achieve with the system, and they basically pushed us to even go further and further, and we're very quick to implement and get the benefits out of the technology.
Yeah, and you're working not just with Celine, but you're working with their other vendors as well, like Kick, but like Juki and a whole bunch of others. How important is it for you to have that open communication at that level to be able to work with those guys?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's the key actually, is to be able to work with the different vendors hand in hand very closely, because Industry 4.0 will not be achieved by a single vendor. It's really about collaboration, about being open with each other and trying to find the best possible solution for the end user, because there's all kinds of different software in the industry. Every machine vendors does their own software, they're very good at it. There's companies like Cogiscan doing third-party software, and even the end users also do their own software at times. So how do you combine all these different things together to get the best possible solution for the end user? What it's all about.
Yeah, that becomes really important. Bjorn, coming to you, you're coming at it from a particular element, from a particular part of the process, and as a software provider, you're working with other software providers in the factory. Tell me a bit about that experience and how that works, and why perhaps the area you're working in is kind of one of those measurable areas that you can use as a jumping off point.
Right. So we're in the reflow or the thermal process wave sorter machines, and they have historically been considered the black box of the process line. You don't know what's going on in there. And as companies started working with Cogiscan and other MES companies and connected machines and data to a networked central database, that was the missing link. And so a reflow oven is really there to produce an acceptable profile, and that's the one piece of information that was not available. So we, in real time, will provide that and send it via Cogiscan or wherever the customers want that information. And I think that what's happening now with Industry 4.0 or IIoT is, until now, it's been focused on the machines, and they get faster, better, more reliable, and so forth. But moving forward, this is more about getting the information, or the analytics of the information in such a way that allows Celine and others to run their factories more efficiently, lower cost, consistent quality, and to satisfy their customers.
Yeah. So there's that demand to drive the benefit through to the customers. What's the customer's response when you share with them what your vision is for the factory?
Oh, it's been so positive. It's a great feeling when you can take a customer through your shop and you can show them how the Factory 4.0 is working, the different features that it allows them for us to produce a better quality board for them more efficiently. I think Bjorn's right. I mean, there's so much data out there, and figuring out the analytics and showing our customers this is all the preparation that goes into your build before it ever hits the line, so that when it goes out there, those very fast machines, they keep working and they do what they're supposed to do. And that analytics is a huge part of how we plan for success.
Yeah, and the collection of data so that, heaven forbid, if something does go wrong, you've got that traceability down to the smallest possible level.
Absolutely. We had a customer ask us for a profile of a board that we built for them. They were concerned about what the profile looked like, and they said, "Can you send us the profile?" And using Bjorn's products, we said, "Well, which board do you want to see?" And we sent them the profiles for all of them.
For every single board.
Having that information gives them a comfort level that not only was this board okay, every board that Celine manufactured for you is okay.
Yeah. Francois, we kind of thought about this technology as being applicable to the high reliability industries, originally automotive, medical, those kind of sectors. It feels now as if it's becoming across the board. Every sector wants this level of traceability, this level of control, this automation. Do you think that's true?
Clearly, because initially you're right, it started out as traceability, just as in the case of Celine, was driven by the end users. So if you have a high reliability product, you'll get more requirements for traceability. But now that we've expanded and see, okay, actually I can use the same software once my machines are connected and everything is tied together. I can use this data to make my process better, to reduce costs, as Bjorn was mentioning, and to improve quality. Well, everybody needs that, no matter what kind of product you build. It's all about the lowest possible cost, the highest possible quality, and customer satisfaction. And the connected factory gives you all of that.
Yeah, and Bjorn, in terms of a kicking off point, we talked about the simplicity of it, but also return on investment's got to be very visible. How do you measure that, and how can you look at a particular area like reflow, for example, and say, actually, if I spend this and I do this, it's going to have this impact? What is the impact? Change over time, quality?
Yeah, I've been studying some of the ROI calculators out there, and one thing that strikes me that typically is at the top of the list is production downtime, particularly in territories like in the United States or in Europe, where you have, high mix technology, a lot of changeover. And I never cease to be amazed going into these factories. It seems like whatever production line I go by is always standing still. So, and it's not just about reflow, you have to take a holistic approach to the entire line, or all the lines across. But the return on that investment can easily be calculated. You also have a lot of waste in the factory. I think I read an article recently that manufacturing engineers spend 40% of their time looking for stuff, most of it information. So having that information at your fingertip, knowing what the other guys have been doing so you don't have to chase after them, it's huge time savings. And so I think if the question is where do you start, it's overwhelming, this whole Industry 4.0, I think analyzing where you get the biggest return on your investment and start there might be one option.
Yeah, the fastest quantifiable return, and get on from there. I'm going to ask one more question to all of you. I'm going to start with Bjorn. What do you think is going to change in the next year or so? What's your vision going forward, and what are you bringing to market to influence that?
So, outside of Germany and some select segments in industry, there's been a lot of talk about this, but there's been less action. And I think we're hitting a tipping point now. It seems to me that wherever I go in the world, people are starting to look at this. Not the whole industrial Internet of Things, but various areas of they need information flow. They need it to their MES system. They need to be able to optimize their machine setups for minimizing changeover time. and they need consistent quality. Their customers no longer accept rework, for example, so they need to make it right the first time. So there's a lot of needs in the industry developing now that is forcing this technology, and I think the smart factory will really start taking off in this year and next year.
Okay, Francois, from your point of view.
I agree with everything that Bjorn just said. I think everything needs to be driven by ROI. Definitely, we see people understand that requirement today for things like material control, for example, knowing where your components are in real time, knowing how many you've used, and all of that. There's a lot of money tied into those materials. Some of these functions are pretty basic, but still today, I think the main barrier that's preventing the industry for really getting into Industry 4.0 is all the connectivity part of it. You know, how does this machine talk to that software, to this machine, to this storage system? So this is really the area where Kazakhstan is focused right now, is trying to work with all the different vendors, and you see that at the show here. You know, a lot of signs of Kazakhstan Connect. It's our new program for tying all these different pieces, different machines, different software together, and trying to enable, you know, today Industry 4.0 based on existing interfaces and existing standards.
And lastly, from you, Jason, you're living this. What's your vision within your company over the next 12 months?
So Bjorn hit it a little bit with the analytics. We gather so much data nonstop that you can get to a data paralysis point if you don't use it properly. So we team with our partners, our internal IT systems, to get that information to the people that need it quickly. Machine downtime is everything, and if our machines aren't producing product, then it's that next job that's not getting to the line a little bit later, or maybe I'm producing defects and I need to shut that down so that I don't have to go through all the rework processes. But that doing it right the first time constantly is such a challenge, and the tools that we have available to us, using them appropriately to keep those machines running efficiently is everything to Celine.
Yeah. Guys, thanks very much for stopping by. Thanks for your time, and pleasure to talk to you. Thank you.